All right. Well, thank you. I'm Katie. I'm the chair of the Fundraising and Development Roundtable. Always interested in a co-chair if anybody wants to join me. We're looking at another meeting coming up in January, so we'll be planning for that. For today, I'm super excited about our guest today, Miranda. She really needs no introduction. She's worked with libraries and organizations all over Connecticut. Chances are pretty good that she's either worked with you or with someone you know. As the founder of Miranda Creative, over the course of the 33 years they've been in business, she's gone from a one-person shop to a team of about 20 people. They are brand managers working in partnership with their clients to create messaging and marketing strategies that really reflect the brand's value across all media and all channels. And from the looks of their social media posts, they have a lot of fun doing that. So Maria, thank you very much for joining us today. I'll turn it to you.
Sure. I'm absolutely honored to be here, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Quite honestly, whenever my library friends ask me to present or help out, I'm always honored to be there. I spent much of my childhood in my local library here in Norwich called Otis Library, and it was a life-changing experience for me. As you shared, Katie, I was part of the CLC community for many years, the CLA, and have had the honor of doing websites for a number of libraries and librarians in the area. We also did the recent rebranding for the Wethersfield Library, which was a great experience. So I've got a really fun presentation to share today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us into this presentation. But before I do that, just a couple of quick housekeeping. I will be sending a PDF of this out so that you'll have the information and you'll be able to see the websites I'm referencing. You can ask a question at any point in the chat. I'll keep the chat window open nearby. I will do some regular pauses to see if anyone has any questions, and we're going to have a great few moments together. So here we go. So first, I'm going to probably impact make you a little bit hungry. Today, we're talking about the digital dozen. Kate, we can see this okay? We're good? Okay. We're talking about the digital dozen. And I look to organize my information in a way that is easy to recall. So I'm saying we're looking at 12 months of giving tools to modernize and engage new donors. That was my focus in this process, to modernize the way that you're currently asking and to engage new donors. So quickly, what does that mean? I guess I'll talk visually here for a moment. I'm going to grab a little prop here. Okay, so I'm never without a large collection of markers. And when marketing first began, when I first began running my agency over 30 years ago, the best that I could do is to go to a mass media and to try to run my messaging where I thought my market would gather. So if I was promoting bridal dresses, I would be in the what was then the engagement announcements or the bridal listings they used to have. If I was trying to sell tires, I would be in more of the sports section. The closest I could get would be a likely behavior profile of who would be coming to that mass media. And over the years, this entire model inverted until it's now about following the person. The history of what is in our search, where our phones tell us that we are, keywords that we begin our journey on. The entire profile and history of the individual is known, and media now follows the person. And so as a result of that, there is an understanding of how different demographic profiles relate to giving, how individuals have a propensity to give in one space and how they will give in another. And so these modernized tools are about looking at changing from that large mass annual appeal you might do to looking at doing communications that would appeal to an individual's behavior and following the profile of who you want. An example of how this would work in other spaces, smart financial institutions, for example, are creating free checking accounts for teenagers, 15, 16 years of age, because they've discovered over time that about 78 to 80% of individuals who choose their bank at the age of 16 will keep that same bank for the rest of their lives. They might The catalyst moments of relocating or getting married might cause them to change or add a second bank, but quite often they keep that first account in some way, shape, or form for the rest of their lives. Okay. That's why getting connected to someone as an entry-level donor is important. Any questions so far? All right, so here we go. So a really quick introduction, and you can look at this later about us as well. My firm, as you shared was Miranda Creative. We're located in Eastern Connecticut. We are about 25 team members at this point in 33 years. You may not know our name, but you know the brands that we handle. We are behind the new logo and brand for Connecticut Paid Leave, the new refreshed and replaced brand for CT Grown. If anyone has been to Hartford area, the Parkville Food Market is a brand that we created. We work with a number of agricultural spaces as well, the Connecticut Wine Trail, the Connecticut Art Trail, and our friends at Ridgefield Library, of course. So a little bit about us. We're a fairly flat culture, meaning that everyone in our community is equal in their ideas and environment. I always include this little picture right through here. I came in the office one day and a member of my team, his spouse was facing cancer, and we were doing a food train to them and everything else we could do for them. And I came in, and above the water cooler was this sign, was that this company was all the family you need. And that told me a lot about our culture and how we want to stay as an environment. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share with you pretty much in a speed round about 12 different ideas, digital dozen of things to know and to think about taking with you. The first one is one of my favorites. I'm opening up with that. It's called Popple. And what Popple is a device that you can add to the back of your phone, or there's also a desktop version of it. And it is what's called near field communication. So when you bring your phone to this device, whether it be on the back of another phone, it can also be a keychain, it can be a wristband, it can be at your checkout counter at the front desk of the library. When you bring a phone to that device, it opens up a browser window that can do any action you want them to do. So let's say you are running a giving campaign and you want people to give at checkout they can bring their phone to the Popple device. It'll open up a giving window because you've got that set up. You can program any URL to that Popple device and it will open automatically on their phone and they can then take an action. So it could be, you may choose to have the threshold be very low, get them used to using Popple, and it's how they can sign up for emails, how they can choose to follow you on social media on their phone. Isn't that wonderful? Called Popple. It's one of my favorite things. Not a lot of money. I think that desktop unit, I think is $39. So far, so good. Let's go up to one of my next favorite, which is ShopRaise. Ka-ching. So ShopRaise is a place you can go to and you can register with about, 50, 60 different organizations, Land's End, Cabela's, etc. And if your community puts this app on their phone as the doorway that they enter to be able to shop in those environments, they get an automatic percentage of that sale. I'm sure you've seen this for Amazon Smiles and others. What I love about this environment is that it is more reflective of this point about following consumer behavior, where you are looking at relating to where they go automatically. Not everybody goes to Amazon, a lot of people do, but other people choose to try to support local businesses and they do so via their phones, and you can be in that turnstile of that relationship, and it's called ka-ching. I call it ka-ching, it's called ShopRaise. Okay. And that's a little view of how it works on the phone. So they can choose, again, many, Kohl's, Travel, Best Buy, Lowe's, all under one umbrella. And so if you think about it, you could go up to here, program the URL here for them to install the app on their phone while they're checking out and show them how they can then raise money by doing their normal shopping. Okay. You guys are welcome to come back on camera. Give me a thumbs up now and again, so I know you're happy about these things. Okay, let's go to the next one. say please. I waited the longest time for this resource to become available, and it's called Causevid. And it is an ability to activate the camera on your computer, do a video greeting that has been prepared in an appropriate memory and resolution for being able to then send it out as an email. And it connects directly to a giving component on the other side of the video. So many of my clients would send me, videos that were recorded on a phone. It was a file. I had to put it on the YouTube channel. It really actually wasn't in the email. You'd have to click on it. YouTube channel would open. All of the, some browser environments don't allow YouTube to open depending upon what Wi-Fi you're on, all of those barriers. This resource called Causevid allows you to embed an actual video ask. So when you start thinking about that then, where you can send a link out to centers of influence in your community, you can have a senior record a greeting to other seniors. You can have a bride record a greeting as an alternative to a wedding favor. You can have a teenager record a campaign to buy more software for online gaming. You can customize the vid ask and the message based on who the audience is. Causevid. Yes, Katie.
I'll say this past fall, or last year, I guess, we had a new board member join us as president. And so we asked her to record a video, just introducing herself very briefly and saying thank you to the donors. And then we sent that out in our monthly donor email. And it was great, but it was, a YouTube link that they had to click. It was a lot of work getting it sent out. So I have been in the back of my head thinking I want to do more videos.
Yep, right. It's great. It's great. And again, none of the resources I'm sharing with you are a lot of money. They're all very, very, very approachable. Okay. All right. So next up, I'm sure you are all well aware of texting to give. And a lot of people are looking for resources for being able to do so. I like this one from the nonprofit source. It is a great opportunity for initial giving relationships. I encourage clients to be very conservative about the threshold for texting to give, $5, $10 spaces. And if you use the right partner, the ability to communicate back to those that have texted is not only limited to the giving campaign. I'm going to reinforce my point on this. Depending upon what you use for a resource, the permitting and the approval process for participating in the text function may limit the ability to communicate with that text database only about giving. So you want to look for a partner and look for the release process to say, I agree to accept texting and updates from X versus I agree to do a text giving campaign. Does that make sense, everybody, what I'm sharing? It's sort of like when you sign up for your financial institution to receive notifications about your bank balance, and they also begin emailing you about second mortgages. When you agree to get that notification about your bank balance, you also agreed to get other notifications. And so you want to look for a partner that allows you to do that, and people can choose to opt out if they choose to do so. The point of text giving is to begin the relationship, not just to raise dollars. Is that clear, everybody? Okay. Okay, thanks for being there. So I'm seeing a bunch of logos. I'm not sure I'm making myself clear, so I appreciate you guys being there. Hello, Alessandra. Okay. Okay, next up is somewhat I'm sure you participated in, which is a online auction or a virtual auction. Donor Perfect is one resource that we've used in a few different spaces, but my main point in bringing this forward today as part of my digital dozen tools is this, okay? I'm encouraging you to think a bit differently about the online auction process. the magic about them being successful is thinking about the unique experiences, right? And having it be a fun auction item in that way. For example, could you bid on having a reference librarian record a voicemail greeting for you versus it being your own and being a really, really fun thing, like, shh, leave a message, right? Having it be somewhat fun. Could you auction off the ability to have a loved one's name be a book plate on their favorite book at the library? I would love to have my mom's name, be on Tiz at the library, right? And I would always be responsible for that book being replaced. How powerful would that be, right? Right? Or slumber in the stacks, sleep in the stacks, having a slumber party at the library as being a package that you would offer in partnership with a catering company, right? So not only about the online auction, but about thinking about it in a different way, thinking about this, right? That teenager, that 13-year-old who had a slumber party, in the stacks with a Harry Potter theme or something, would never forget you when they looking to donate and become part of the community 7 years later. All right. So next up, got game, make money. I believe I have somewhere around 6 or 7 web developers at Miranda Creative. I don't actually know how many I have because I never see them. I talk about them being like my beloved golems, precious, right? I never see them come to meetings. They don't like coming to community gatherings. They have their camera on. But what they do get together for with great passion is online gaming, right? So Gamefly offers packages for you to be able to do entry fee-based contests for gaming in the teen generation. So you could run a contest, have there be prizes, have there be fees for entering. And it's that first entry-level relationship with the market you may not be spending a lot of time with. I had no idea about the passion of this until I started having web developers in their 20s join my company the last few years, and they are definitely spending whatever they want to spend to enjoy this experience. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about QR codes. One of my clients wrote me recently that the QR codes had a glow up during the pandemic because of restaurants, et cetera. Prior to that, it wasn't that popular or was seen as being kind of geeky to do. Right? The big power of a QR code right now is that people are used to using it, but I don't think people are thinking about where to place them. Okay? So for example, to put a QR code in a popular book, saying, if you're enjoying this book, you're among many others who have, please consider making a donation so we can keep these type of books available. At a kids program, many of my parent friends who go to the library for events are so incredibly grateful at that very moment that the library is making that possible, that they would support you. But few libraries have a QR code for giving, at that moment where people are most inclined to give. And there's also downtime while the parents are watching or witnessing a book being read or reading to a sleeping dog or craft being made. They have an opportunity to take action at that very moment. Again, I encourage you, low threshold, get them started, get them thinking about giving to you, right? So it could be, the crafts that we're providing today cost $5 per child. Would you sponsor a future child for $5? They probably would. Right? Mouse pads. Most of my library friends tell me that their computers are their most popular resource that people come in to use. Is that still the case for most of you when you're open? So consider putting a QR code on the mouse pad to say, it can even be a little note. It costs us $25 a day to offer this computer. Would you sponsor a day? I know that often the computers are used by people with limited means. You may not get a lot of traction here, but at least you're making it clear that you have a need. Okay. Consider a really big sign. If you got empty windows, fill it with a QR code for heading into Giving Tuesday. And what about, send a library card as a newborn gift for a donation through a QR code. So scan this QR code, send a library card as a donation to a newborn. You send a cute package out, pink envelope, blue envelope, green envelope, if we want to be gender neutral. And your baby's first book is on us. Okay. So the next 4 options I'm going to cover is from one website. Anybody hear of Causevox before? Yep, Alessandra, you have? Okay. I love this one resource for the way that they handle these following things: peer-to-peer, crowdfunding, a pledge on a payment plan, and event ticketing. Those are the 4 things I think they do really, really well. Okay. So peer-to-peer giving is not unusual to any of us. It happens quite often on Facebook, where they say, I am doing this, please sponsor me. They make it very easy to put together a packaged peer-to-peer campaign outside of Facebook, which is becoming more and more necessary as Facebook is aging out as a resource. TikTok has surpassed Facebook for downloads, and the amount of time that people are spending on social media is passing it by. So peer-to-peer campaigns in an independent resource are going to be important. So I highly recommend this resource for that tool. And then the bigger picture, which is the crowdsource one, where you set a goal for something significant and you look to have it be a crowdsource. But you need to be very thoughtful. I made a few notes here for you. You need to be specific, you need to be emotional, and you need to be sparse. You should not be looking at doing crowdfund campaigns every quarter or multiple times a year. Think about what will people relate to. I asked Diane to proofread this for me, and I should clearly missed that. What will people relate to? Will they relate to providing books in chemotherapy rooms, for example? Sponsoring a reading dog, an Audible book program for hospice patients. My task for today was to talk about how to engage those first-time donors and using digital resources to do so. They really need to know that their dollars matter. And that's what's really important for those first-time donors. Okay? So I look to be in emotionally engaging spaces. Unfortunately, crowdfunding pages do not work for a campaign for operating dollars. You will not get, it's just too loose, too abstract, not clear about its use, but funding to provide books in the chemotherapy rooms for patients to look at completely would be supported, right? Hospice books, hospice patients, and Audible book resources. I did a campaign when the pandemic first arrived. My mom's 95 years old and I could not see her. She was in my sister's home. I still could not go see her, but my family is very technically wired. So we had a Facebook portal, we could talk to each other. We were actually probably more in communication than we had been before that. But I was heartbroken when I saw pictures of people shouting through windows, trying to reach their mom or their dad. And I did a campaign called Tablets for Seniors. And people either donating an older tablet or buying or sponsoring one. I think we did 300 tablets in 30 days. That went out to the community because it was specific, emotionally appealing, and a timely cause. Okay. All right. Causevox also has some of the best forms and the best universal forms that I have seen. They're very clean. Alexandra, you use them, so you know they're very clean, very simple to change and to audit. Also highly, highly responsive. They work on phones as well. And it's possible for you to embed these in a lot of spaces. The program is very, very easy to work with. Often I come across forms on websites that have been independently programmed or are part of other giving resources like Tapestry or PayPal, and they don't feel as user-friendly as Causebox to me. I got two more for you guys. Let's talk about the payment plan. So when an individual charges or makes a donation in that way, there is an opportunity for the payment process. But I'm more interested in the ability to have a recurring pledge program set up where an individual could choose to, every year make a donation on the birthday of their mom, right? Or every year to celebrate, maybe a individual is celebrating their bar or bat mitzvah, and every week they want to make a donation over the course of that particular year. It's not only about payment plan processes, it's about recurring giving that would make it much easier for you to have revenue that you're not trying to earn every single year. So consider looking at pay now, pledge programs, etc., as a resource for recurring giving. Right. So virtual event, real money, a resource called Classy. Alexander, you're smiling again, right?
Yeah, we're looking to figure out a way to do this, so I'm excited that you're talking about it.
Okay, so so there's a lot of there's a lot of programs and resources out there right now that, in the most interesting way I would never thought I would experience, are having individuals participate in marathons, 5K, whatever it might be, collectively with others in their own backyard. And they're wrapping around that a giving opportunity. They're getting more and more used to it. I think the clever thing to do here is to have it be a really, really engaging package so that they have all the sense and the feeling of being part of this event, where a shirt gets sent to them, that there's a way that they really feel part of it. I think so in other words, if you combined that vid cause, where a person's speaking to them about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, would be a way to bring the whole thing together versus just blasting it out with a clever brand, which gets confused with so many others. But this is a great way to be able to do that. Okay. All right. So yes, 5Ks, but what about a celebrity chef cooking, a spin class, a celebrity author book club, or even a private reading for a grandchild, right? Where you can register to have that done as a virtual program, not just about the 5Ks or the virtual golf tournaments or anything else. It can be things along those lines. Right? All right. So I went pretty quickly because there was no questions so far, but I'm going to stop share and I'm going to be here for you, and I'm going to answer any independent questions you might have. Was this helpful? Does anybody have a favorite that they're going to do first?
I'm really interested in the Gamefly. Gamify, I think it's called. I've never heard of that, and I think that's a really interesting way to do fundraising without it actually seeming like you're fundraising.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I think that they would participate in contests, and it doesn't take a lot for the prizes in those, right? It's about the excuse to be able to do more gaming. And it can be something really modest. I was in Home Goods the other day, and there were game chairs in the clearance section, the ones that are on the floor that you can rock in. They were like $9 in the clearance section, right? And so you can pick up some of those things, and that can be a ribbon around it, and oh wow, look at that, yeah, kind of thing. It can be a lot of fun. Audrey, Stephanie, Lindsay, do you have any questions, guys?